When the Persona 4 Revival trailer started, I know fans like myself were holding their breaths, because we remembered how Atlus handled their most recent remake, Persona 3 Reload. It left out the female protagonist route from Persona 3 Portable, and it locked the epilogue from Persona 3 Fest behind a paid expansion. Thankfully, Atlus have learned their lesson with Revival. They confirmed everything from Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden is being reimagined, so we will have the definitive investigation team experience on day one. Persona has become legendary for its stylish, intuitive user interfaces, and Revival might just perfect that reputation. Where Reload used underwater backgrounds and glassy shapes to match its thoughtful, melancholic vibe, Revival leans heavily into 1960s psychedelia and analog television iconography to capture its nostalgic, optimistic vibe. It truly is a massive leap forward from what Golden could achieve on the PlayStation Vita. To name a few of my favorite flourishes, the menus are sometimes overlaid with chromatic aberration or scan lines to mimic old CRT screens. The color palette is taken straight from broadcast test patterns, and the button prompts during battle wrap around a channel selector knob. Atlus is paying obsessive attention to detail here. However, in video game design, form has to meet function, so let's run through quality of life improvements. Exploring Inaba is going to feel much smoother because there's now a mini-map, a text message log, and an objective tracker to keep you moving forward. If you're still unsure about how to spend your free time, Vox Populi has returned to show you what other players did on the same day. Golden had another networking feature called SOS that let you ask players on the same dungeon floor for tiny amounts of SP and HP, but this feature has strangely been axed. In its place, struggling players can now follow a particle trail that seemingly leads to the next staircase. Personally, I have mixed feelings about this because it risks encouraging newcomers to rush through dungeons, so they might not be finding items or leveling up as much as they should be, which will come back to bite them during boss fights. People have suggested this trail could instead guide you to rare golden hand shadows, which I think would work better. Whenever you want to save your progress, you no longer need to hunt down these butterfly checkpoints because you can save anywhere outside combat. Finally, social stat and social link progression is much more transparent. After completing activities, Golden gave you ambiguous messages like your knowledge has increased, but Revival shows you exactly how far each stat is from ranking up on this color-coded radar chart. Similarly, Golden would only reveal a social link ability upon unlocking the associated rank, never again, but Revival has a dedicated menu to check them at any time, and characters outside the playable roster like Dojima also provide their own gameplay perks now. Of course, the user interface is only one side of the overall presentation, so let's look at the art style more generally. Inaba has been refreshed with a vibrant paintbrush aesthetic which definitely enhances the cozy rural vibe, but Atlus haven't forgotten about the dull shabbiness that made this town feel so authentic. I particularly appreciate how the lighting transforms whenever the time or the weather changes, but I'm slightly disappointed that fog doesn't seem as oppressive as it was on the PlayStation 2 version. On the bright side, Atlus confirmed on social media that they've ditched the fixed high-angle camera by letting you pan around the protagonist while outside. Speaking of cinematography, crucial story moments that previously unfolded through the visual novel interface are now 3D cutscenes, and even standard conversations look more cinematic because they cycle through a wide variety of shot compositions and camera movements. This story fittingly looks like a television show now. Unfortunately, the new character portraits have garnered mixed reception. They've been drawn with softer shadows and rounder proportions than the originals, which make them look younger and sleeker, but also flatter. Worse yet, I think the facial expressions convey slightly less personality now. If you look at these specific scenes side by side, then you'll notice Dojima seems less weary, Kanji seems less embarrassed, Rise seems less love-struck, and despite being sucked into a television, Yosuke seems only mildly concerned. I started wondering whether Atlus drew enough portraits for different emotions, but after watching the broadcast, I'm more reassured that they did, and I can't deny that everyone's 2D illustrations match their 3D models quite well. They look very fluid and animated during battles, but they sometimes become surprisingly stiff elsewhere, so I'm hoping these next few months of development will rectify that. One of the main criticisms against Reload was how it didn't do enough to make Tartarus feel less monotonous. The Midnight Channel already suffered less from that problem because it's divided into separate themed dungeons, but Revival goes one step further by revamping the background decoration and scattering breakable objects around to give you extra loot. Having said that, I can't see any evidence that Atlus have designed handcrafted, puzzle-rich areas akin to the palaces from Persona 5, so I assume they've stuck with the simple, randomized floor layouts. To see where this remake truly evolves, we should look no further than the turn-based combat, which has received 4 noteworthy mechanics. Number 1 is guarding. Rather than sneaking up behind a wandering shadow, you can parry then riposte it to go first in the following battle, and I don't think there's a strict timing window. Number 2 is the baton pass. If you hit an enemy's weakness, then you can pass your extra turn onto another party member. Number 3 is send flying. It's not guaranteed, but you can spread ailments between enemies by knocking them into each other with a physical attack. Finally, number 4 is Prime Time, the most impactful addition. Landing critical hits, targeting weaknesses, and killing enemies slowly fills up this gauge, and once it's full, your party get 4 consecutive actions between them which ignore enemy resistances and don't cost any HP or SP. At any time during this onslaught, you can unleash a series finale that deals significant damage in one hit. I'm almost certain that the primetime gauge doesn't reset unless you leave the dungeon, so it's probably worth saving for dangerous encounters. As I was editing this video, Atlus uploaded a trailer dedicated to Risa that shed some light on her navigator role. She retains her ability to reveal a hidden weakness or resistance and revive the protagonist once per battle, but she can now cure party ailments earlier than in Golden, so perhaps everyone else's ability unlocks have also been shuffled around. I did check whether any skill unlocks have been changed, but they look identical to Golden. Atlus are clearly trying to make combat faster and flashier than ever before, but with all of these tools at our disposal, I'm worried that veterans won't face enough challenge. Don't get me wrong, I love these ideas, but I hope Revival expands the customizable difficulty options from Golden. Stepping into the Velvet Room now plays a slick animation where the protagonist gets picked up by the signature limousine. Once inside, everything looks very standard and polished, but there's a new minor improvement. There are now mini 2D portraits next to each persona name in the fusion menu, which will make navigating your compendium easier. I did notice a glaring omission though. There are no triad fusions, at least during the early game. I'm guessing, along with other special fusions, this will be locked behind a specific calendar date or level requirement. What is available from the start is Fusion Forecast, which grants unique statistical bonuses when you fuse specific personas during certain weather conditions. It actually raises an interesting question. Will the daily weather still be 100% predetermined? Obviously, fog has to roll in on specific days to coincide with the murder mystery, but I think it would be cool if other days were randomized for each playthrough. Personas themselves now have passive traits tied to their arcana. For example, Jiraiya and Jack Frost share weakness damage up because they both belong to the Magician arcana. Among the other Velvet Room attendants, Margaret stands out for having no hangout scenes, so I wouldn't be surprised if her social link goes beyond what little we saw in Golden. Speaking of hangouts, karaoke is a brand new group activity, but I'm quite sad that there's no attached rhythm minigame, just a cutscene and a dialogue box. I mean, Persona 4 dancing was right there as a template. I know fishing and bug catching are included, but I hope there's more side content in either Okina City or Junes, considering it looks fully explorable now. Persona 5 Royal set the bar high with its dartboard, card game, and batting cage, so Revival could definitely add those kinds of optional distractions to break up the usual gameplay pace. On the official website, we were told Revival adds never-before-seen seasonal events and more time with other characters, so people have put forward their speculations. Years ago, Data Minus found English voice lines for an unfinished Yosuke romance in the PlayStation 2 game files, which was presumably cut because Atlus didn't think it suited his character or they didn't want any political backlash. I doubt they'll reverse this decision in Revival because people would naturally ask what about the other male social links, and I suspect Atlus would rather explore queer relationships by writing new characters, not rewriting existing ones. My best evidence is Rin from Catherine Full Body. In Persona 4 the animation, the delivery girl Aika Nakamura got some screen time as a comedic relief character, even though she was barely mentioned in the game, so her inclusion seems more likely to me. She could appear across some linked episodes like how Ryoji did in Reload, or she could take over the Hermit social link from the Fox, who could instead get his own Emma request mechanic. Persona 5 did something similar by letting Mishima manage the Mementos requests for the Phantom Thieves. What has been confirmed is that dialogue will be more faithfully translated, and I'd say this is a perfect opportunity for Atlus to fix how Teddy is characterized in the West. If you haven't seen this video essay by Lady Virgilia, then I'd recommend it, but here's a quick summary. Teddy frequently oversteps social boundaries, but the English localization frames him as intentionally annoying and perverted. Meanwhile, the Japanese original text shows more clearly that his childish attitude stems from his total naivety about the human world. Obviously, since scenes are being rewritten, we don't yet know how much censorship will paint over the raunchy mid-2000s teenage antics that Persona 4 embraced. As far as I can remember, Reload only altered one cheap, outdated joke during the beach trip, but there's already hints that Revival is being more heavy-handed. One of Yosuke's accidental innuendos has been cut, and Risa says, "Give me your hearts!" Even though that was Teddy's line during the infamous cross-dressing pageant, so I assume the school festival will play out differently. Just before the broadcast, we learnt that every rank in every social link is fully voiced, continuing the standard set by Reload. Golden had a star-studded main cast by today's standards, but they've all been recast. Laura Bailey and Troy Baker have moved away from dubbing, while Yuri Lowenthal and Erin Fitzgerald said they weren't invited back despite asking, so unlike Reload, there might not be any cameos from the original actors. Either way, I'm excited to hear how these younger actors reinterpret their roles. We only know 6 by name so far, and you might recognize some of them from these other games.
I only need to think. Everything is connected.
Jane, do you get it now? The filthy nature of these gangsters! If you would have just agreed to my terms, we could have avoided all this nonsense!
Whenever I feel lonely at night, Pear is the one who's always there for me. Pear, I'll keep you safe. Everyone called me the uglier Suimitsu. They always compared me to him. Let's do everything we can, partner. Someone had to see that. I'm glad it was you.
Which means that we also gotta catch whoever's tossing people in here.
They vanish like a mist, but the Shogun pursues, unfettered and unperturbed.
My name is Maybell. I'm the owner of this market and the mayor of Bose.
Excuse me! Another fried rice with extra meat, please!
Was that supposed to be him?
You ever heard of the Midnight Channel?
My name is Tita. I'm an apprentice at the Central Factory in Zeiss. I wanted to say thanks. Not just for saving me, but also for finding me a job and a place to stay.
I want to wear these instead. Look, I even get a nose guard.
Doesn't it sound cool?
I think I'd like to help too. I'm not running away from this.
Colors weave into a spire of flame. Distant sparks call to a past still unnamed.
They are in front of us, idiots. I'm everywhere.
All right, why don't we stop beating around the bush? You're not sick at all, are you? I'm not as dumb as I look, you know.
Hi! My name's Rise Kujikawa. Now that I'm getting the hang of school, I want to go out more and see the sights.
Hey, Facial, I made it. Just stepped off the star skiff. I'm in plain Arcadia.
I hate you, sneaky, stupid bully jerk!
Why do you need to spend youth, though? Don't you have anything better to do?
No matter what Atlus did, Revival was always going to face some amount of criticism because it's tampering with a classic JRPG masterpiece, and as far as remakes go, this looks balanced between safe and innovative. For my next videos, I've got some ideas focused on the Persona series, so if you found this video interesting or helpful, then I would definitely appreciate your subscription, but either way, thanks for watching until the very end.